This is totally bonkers. Meghan Markle has decided to use the 5th birthday of her own daughter to lash out. We see you, Meghan, and your angry statement ain't going to shut us up. And of course, it is this total juxtaposition which has forced Meghan Markle to speak out to news. They are playing games, and I think even using AI to manipulate images.
Meghan Markle is facing a brand new wave of controversy. And this time, it's not just about privacy, it's about the photos themselves. What should have been a simple birthday tribute to Princess Lilibet has instead sparked a growing online debate, with social media users picking apart every detail of the images Meghan recently shared to celebrate her daughter's 5th birthday. And the questions are getting louder. Why do some people believe the photos look heavily edited? Why are critics comparing the new images to older pictures of Lilibet and claiming things don't add up?
Making her first public statement about the very clear hypocrisy of releasing new images like that, which we just saw on Instagram, while claiming to be the hero for protecting children from social media.
And why are some commentators now openly speculating that certain photos may have been digitally altered before being posted? The discussion exploded after Meghan uploaded several birthday snapshots to Instagram. Almost immediately, online observers began comparing them with previous images shared over the past year.
At 5 years old, Meghan Markle has realised that that poor young girl is the best way for her to make money. So that's why she's defending the fact that she's going to keep going online with these weird sort of half shots, the hearts.
Some pointed to differences in appearance, while others questioned whether the pictures had been edited to such an extent that they were creating even more confusion instead of protecting privacy. Now, the debate has moved far beyond a simple birthday post. Critics argue that every new image seems to generate more questions than answers. Supporters insist that Meghan is simply trying to share family moments while keeping her children out of the spotlight.
A lot of people are not buying the pictures either. I want to show you this from According to Taz, who writes, sorry, but the ever-changing hair colour and ever-changing size of their children is what causes so many conspiracy theories.
But as the speculation grows, one thing is becoming impossible to ignore. These photos are being analysed more intensely than ever before. And that's exactly why Meghan's latest post has become one of the most talked about royal stories of the week. So what are people seeing in these images? Why are old photos suddenly being compared to new ones? And how did a birthday celebration turn into yet another controversy surrounding the Sussex family?
Children are no longer just participants in digital spaces. They are too often the product.
Let's take a closer look. Before we get into the photos themselves, it's important to understand why this story exploded in the first place. The timing couldn't have been more controversial. Just days before sharing the new birthday images of Lilibet, Meghan was once again speaking publicly about the impact of social media and the importance of protecting children in the digital age.
But what I would say to push back on her claims around privacy is that your children, what you're doing by highlighting them like this is you are creating a mystique about your children. You are showing them in a way that gets people curious about what do they look like. So you are heightening the social media of your children more so by trying to create this obscure, no looking at their faces kind of an image.
Her comments immediately attracted attention because they came at a time when discussions about children's online privacy are becoming increasingly heated around the world. Now, we've already covered Meghan's Geneva appearance and the full details of that speech in a previous video here on the channel. So if you haven't seen that breakdown yet, make sure to check it out after this video. It should also appear on your screen at the end of this video. But the short version is this. Meghan spoke extensively about the risks children face online, the way digital platforms operate, and the responsibility adults have when it comes to protecting younger generations from unnecessary exposure.
Now, my position on this is very clear. I think there's nothing wrong with parents sharing their children online. But remember, Prince Harry has called it evil. He has attacked parents who are doing exactly what you are doing.
Under normal circumstances, those comments probably would have come and gone without much controversy. However, almost immediately after those remarks, Meghan shared a series of new images celebrating Princess Lilibet's 5th birthday. And that's when the backlash started. For some observers, the issue wasn't necessarily that Meghan posted family photos, The issue was that critics felt the message coming from her public appearances suddenly seemed difficult to reconcile with what was happening on her own social media accounts.
Share photos of her children on Instagram while criticizing social media. Telling Newsweek, do you buy this? There is a distinction between sharing moments from her life and exposing her children to public scrutiny. Now, this statement came because they knew what was coming. They knew that Lily's fifth birthday was going to be an opportunity for Meghan to make more money.
As the photos spread across news outlets and social media platforms, people began debating whether Meghan was practicing what she preached, or whether the latest birthday post had unintentionally opened the door to a much bigger conversation. And as we're about to see, the debate quickly shifted away from privacy and towards something else entirely: the photos themselves. And this is where the story takes a completely different turn, because what should have been a simple birthday post quickly became something else entirely. Instead of talking about Lilibet's 5th birthday, thousands of people online began talking about the photos.
Trying to control everything about a story. And it will bite her later when they get bigger. You most guarantee that will absolutely happen. We've seen it with celebrities now.
Almost immediately after Meghan shared the images, social media users started comparing them to older pictures that had been released over the past year. Side-by-side comparisons began appearing across X, YouTube, Instagram, and royal discussion forums. And according to many critics, certain details simply didn't seem consistent from one image to the next. One of the most talked about points involved Lilibet's appearance in different photographs. Commentators began comparing the new birthday pictures with older images that Meghan had previously shared, including family photos and promotional content connected to various projects.
We should not accept a digital one either.
But Meghan Markle, are you seriously saying, despite that rhetoric, that your 5-year-old daughter is giving you permission to share her image for money?
Some claimed that Lilibet appeared noticeably different across the images, leading to renewed speculation about how the photos were being presented. The discussion became so widespread that several royal commentators dedicated entire videos to analyzing the comparisons. And then an older controversy suddenly resurfaced. Many viewers pointed back to a previous image that had already generated debate online, a photograph featuring balloons that Meghan had shared months earlier. At the time, some critics claimed the image appeared heavily edited.
How can she be smaller now at age 5 than she was a year ago climbing Monmouth Mountain? They are playing games, and I think even using AI to manipulate images.
They pointed to small details within the photograph that they believed looked unusual when viewed up close. Those claims were never proven, but the discussion never completely disappeared. Now, after the release of the latest birthday photos, that same image is once again being circulated online. Critics are revisiting old screenshots, zooming into specific sections of the picture, and arguing that the latest images raise similar questions. And that's where things started getting even more dramatic. Another photo that attracted attention was an older image showing Lilibet outdoors during a family activity.
These children have moments where they look completely different in their sizes and the color of their hair. I think what Meghan is doing is trying to control a narrative, but failing miserably at it.
Social media users began placing that picture next to the newly released birthday photographs and discussing apparent differences in size and appearance. Some commentators argued that the child appeared larger in certain older images than she does in the latest photos. Others suggested that differences in camera angles, distance, posture, or perspective could easily explain what people were seeing. But once the comparisons started circulating, the debate took on a life of its own. The internet did what the internet always does. People started examining every detail. Hair color became a topic of discussion. Height became a topic of discussion. Clothing became a topic of discussion. Even background details were being analyzed.
And it's obvious they are heavily photoshopped and often badly, hence the little girl's hand melting into the balloon strings. Harry is creating more speculation over his children than what was ever said about Hewitt and his DNA, and this will backfire on his children as they grow older.
What began as a birthday tribute was turning into a full-scale online investigation, and whether the theories were accurate or not almost became irrelevant, because the real story was the reaction. The more Meghan appeared to limit what people could see, the more intensely people seemed determined to examine every image that was released. Several critics argued that this strategy may actually be producing the opposite effect from what was intended. Their argument is simple. If the goal is privacy, constantly releasing carefully selected photographs may not reduce public curiosity at all. According to these critics, it may actually increase it. Every new image becomes an event.
When these children do grow up and they get bigger, they're going to see the manipulation that their mother is doing. They're going to call their mother out later in life.
Every new image becomes a mystery, and every new image becomes something people feel compelled to analyze. And that appears to be exactly what happened here. Supporters of Meghan, however, see the situation very differently. They argue that she is attempting to strike a balance between maintaining a connection with supporters and protecting her children's privacy. They point out that the children's faces are often obscured, and that Meghan has consistently tried to avoid exposing them in the same way many celebrity children are exposed. But critics aren't convinced. Some argue that if privacy is truly the priority, then sharing fewer photos would naturally generate less public discussion.
By obscuring their faces, she is demonstrating the very principle she advocates for, giving children privacy, agency, and protection in an increasingly digital world.
Others claim that repeatedly posting images while withholding key details creates an unusual situation where curiosity continues to grow rather than fade. And that criticism has become increasingly common over the past year. In fact, many of the reactions to the latest birthday photos weren't focused on Lilibet at all. Instead, they were focused on Meghan's broader approach to sharing family content. Comment sections quickly filled with debates about consistency, privacy, publicity, and public perception. Some users defended Meghan, others accused her of sending mixed messages. And before long, the conversation had moved far beyond a simple birthday celebration.
And she's been criticized even in this Newsweek article. And that's what's fascinating. Remember, Meghan has given Newsweek the statement directly to try and sort of dampen down the criticism, but it hasn't worked because Jack Royston goes on to say, based on her spokesperson's statement to Newsweek, Meghan appears to be inclined to double down rather than back down over the images.
What makes this especially significant is that none of this discussion was centered on a major royal event, a public appearance, or an official announcement. It was centered entirely on photographs. That's how much attention these images generated. And as the controversy continued to spread, pressure began mounting on Meghan's team to address the growing criticism. Because by this point, the debate was no longer limited to social media users comparing pictures. Major publications had started covering the backlash. Royal commentators were discussing it daily, and questions were beginning to emerge about whether Meghan would respond.
Now, what's interesting is that it's only really the likes of Town and Country and InStyle, really the propagandists, that are going along with Meghan's defense of her decision to share these pictures on Instagram.
As it turns out, a response was coming. And according to reports, Meghan's team decided to directly address the criticism by issuing a statement explaining exactly why she believes sharing these images is not a contradiction at all. But as we're about to see, that explanation may have created an entirely new controversy of its own. As the debate continued to grow, it became increasingly clear that Meghan's team was aware of the criticism. And then came the response. According to reports, Meghan's representatives provided a direct statement explaining why she believes there is a clear difference between sharing family moments online and exposing children to public scrutiny. The statement was provided to Newsweek and quickly became a major talking point among royal commentators.
It shows how Meghan is not really willing to have any sacrifice in her life. You know, it's always this compromise or an excuse to make it okay because she doesn't want to have to feel like she's being oppressed to do what she wants to do. So she's going to find some silly excuse to make it legitimate.
According to the statement, Meghan has always been clear that there is a distinction between sharing moments from her life and exposing her children to public attention. The explanation went on to argue that by obscuring the children's faces, she is actively demonstrating the very principles she advocates for when discussing online safety and privacy. The statement also claimed that concealing the children's identities helps protect their privacy, agency, and long-term digital footprint in an increasingly online world. In other words, Meghan's position appears to be that parents can share family experiences while still taking steps to shield their children from unnecessary exposure.
She is highlighting these children constantly and putting them out there front and center to say, look at my children. That's what she is saying. And trying to also say they are mysterious, aren't they? Because when they write, look at the adorable pictures that Meghan shared of her children. That's laughable.
On paper, that sounds straightforward. But the reaction was anything but, because critics immediately began questioning whether the explanation actually addressed the concerns people were raising. The issue, according to many commentators, was never simply whether the children's faces were visible. The issue was how frequently the children were appearing in Meghan's social media content. And that's where another detail began attracting attention. Several publications pointed out that a significant number of Meghan's Instagram posts this year have featured Archie, Lilibet, or both. Among the examples frequently cited were family trips, holiday celebrations, birthday tributes, outdoor activities, and behind-the-scenes content connected to Meghan's projects.
This poor girl is going to be exploited while her mother claims she's being protected.
Critics argued that this broader pattern made it difficult for them to separate the latest birthday photos from the larger conversation. From their perspective, the debate was no longer about a single post. It was about a growing collection of posts, and that's why the statement failed to quiet the controversy. In fact, for some observers, it had the opposite effect. The response itself became the story. Royal commentators began asking whether Meghan's explanation had answered the criticism or simply reframed it. Because while the statement emphasized privacy, critics continued focusing on visibility. Those are two very different conversations. One side argues that hiding faces protects children.
Meghan is trying to use her children in a way that is not honest. She is trying to represent something that is clearly being manipulated. And you know, that's what people resent. It's like, just be real.
The other side argues that repeatedly featuring children in content still invites public attention regardless of whether faces are visible. As a result, neither side appeared willing to back down. And then another problem emerged. The statement arrived at precisely the moment when online speculation surrounding the birthday photos was already reaching its peak. Instead of ending the discussion, it brought even more attention to it. Articles began appearing across multiple outlets. Commentators started dissecting individual parts of the statement. Social media users debated whether the explanation was reasonable or contradictory. And before long, the controversy surrounding the photos had evolved into a larger argument about privacy itself. What does privacy actually mean for public figures? Can someone share carefully selected images while still claiming to protect their children from public scrutiny? Or does every post inevitably contribute to public interest?
I call bullshit on this. The woman is a hypocrite, and the release of this statement, this angry statement, on Lily's 5th birthday shows that Meghan is finally feeling the heat over her rank hypocrisy.
Those questions suddenly became central to the discussion. And while supporters argued that Meghan had every right to share moments from her family life on her own terms, critics insisted that the latest statement failed to resolve the contradictions they believed were becoming increasingly obvious. Perhaps most importantly, the response signaled something else. It suggested that the criticism had become impossible to ignore. After all, public figures don't usually issue detailed explanations unless there is significant attention surrounding a story. And by this point, the attention was impossible to miss.
And another point that I wanted to make is just the grooming in general. You know, you're trying to protect your children, but you're putting them out there, and then you're not even grooming them properly. Like, you never see the little girl in proper ponytails with her hair, you know, like as if Meghan put time into the child.
What started as a birthday post had turned into a headline-generating controversy. The photos sparked debate. The comparisons fueled speculation. And now the official response was creating a second wave of discussion. But Meghan's critics weren't finished yet, because some of the strongest reactions were still to come, including criticism from media commentators and even individuals who had previously been supportive of her. And those reactions would push the controversy even further into the spotlight.
You're not protecting their privacy because you're putting them out there purposefully.
If Meghan's team hoped that the statement would bring the controversy to an end, that doesn't appear to be what happened. Instead, the criticism continued to grow. And some of the most notable reactions came not from anonymous social media users, but from commentators and media figures who questioned whether Meghan's explanation truly addressed the concerns being raised. One of the most frequently discussed reactions came from brand and culture commentator Nick Ede, who reportedly argued that the issue wasn't simply about privacy. According to his comments, the timing of Meghan's messaging was what stood out most. Critics pointed to the fact that Meghan had recently been speaking publicly about protecting children online, while at the same time continuing to share family-related content across social media platforms.
At 1 a.m. Los Angeles time, here was the Instagram post. Our dream girl, happy 5th birthday, Lil. And I have to be honest, the mainstream media was totally buying this. The Sun, Meghan shares adorable picture with smiling Prince Harry and Lilibet to celebrate daughter's 5th birthday. But there was nothing adorable about this. What it is a hypocritical money play.
For them, that contrast became the central issue, and the criticism wasn't limited to royal commentators. The debate also spread into mainstream media discussions, where writers began questioning whether obscuring a child's face automatically guarantees privacy. Some argued that repeatedly sharing images of children, even with certain details concealed, can still place them at the center of public attention. Others disagreed, arguing that parents should have the freedom to decide how much of their family life they share online. As a result, the controversy evolved into something much bigger than a disagreement about a single birthday post. It became part of a wider conversation about social media, celebrity parenting, and where the line between public and private life should be drawn.
But look at these pictures. Come on, when you put the two of them together and everything else that we have seen with this poor young girl, of course we know who she is. This is weird, it is creepy, it is hypocritical, and that's why Meghan has decided to lash out.
Meanwhile, another detail from the birthday photos attracted attention. Some publications began discussing accessories and clothing visible in the images, including a bracelet that appeared similar to jewelry styles often associated with Meghan herself. While there is nothing unusual about family members sharing similar tastes or accessories, the discussion added another layer to an already growing story. Suddenly, every element of the photographs was being examined. The photos, the styling, the captions, the timing, even the official response. Everything was being analyzed. And that may be the biggest takeaway from this entire controversy. Whether people support Meghan or criticize her, there is no denying that every image she shares involving Archie or Lilibet generates enormous public attention.
But what I found fascinating is that even the article from Emily Barak, who is like the new Omid Scobie, still made the point, this is in Town and Country, that the majority of Meghan's posts on Instagram this year have featured her children. The majority.
In many ways, the reaction to the birthday photos demonstrates just how intense interest in the Sussex family remains. A simple birthday tribute became a multi-day news story. Online comparisons led to widespread speculation. An official statement triggered another round of debate, and media commentators continued weighing in long after the original photos were posted. For now, Meghan appears to be standing firmly by her approach. The statement released on her behalf made it clear that she believes it is possible to share family moments while still protecting her children's privacy. But critics remain unconvinced. And judging by the reaction to these latest photos, this debate is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. Because the next time Meghan shares a new image of Archie or Lilibet, one thing seems almost certain. The internet will be watching closely, analyzing every detail, and asking the same questions all over again. So what do you think? Are Meghan's critics reading too much into these photos? Or do you think the questions surrounding the images and the wider privacy debate are completely justified? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy keeping up with the latest Sussex drama, make sure to subscribe to Crown Clash. We upload fresh royal news and updates every single day, so you never miss a story. And also, be sure to check out the videos you see on your screen right now for more of the biggest stories involving Meghan, Harry, and the royal family. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and share it with other royal watchers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.